How's it going, everybody? This is John the Pokedad, and I am back for part 2 of the Parent's Guide to Pokemon TCG. Tonight we're going to cover a few more things that we didn't get to last night just because I didn't want to get the videos too long. So tonight we're going to cover some things about formats, what to expect at a tournament, things that you're going to need to take with you. And I want to go over a few resources that are very helpful that really made my son's experience with the Pokemon TCG competitions a lot easier, and to help us get up to speed a lot faster in the realm of Pokemon. So to kind of go over what we talked about yesterday, we talked a little bit about about getting informed, which if you're watching this video, then you're obviously doing that. If you're also doing some research online, things like that. We talked about how, competitive Pokemon isn't cheap, and there are ways to try to cut the cost down a little bit by buying only single cards versus whole boxes, but there are advantages to buying the boxes and the packs as well. Then we also covered a little bit about deck building, how many cards you need, the different card types, and just some ideas about synergy and what works together. And hopefully in part 3 we will do a online battle to let you see kind of how that works. I would say by the time you're watching part 3, you've probably already watched other battles, but I do want to get that out there anyways for you guys. But tonight we want to talk about format. And there are 2 main formats in Pokemon TCG. There are a couple of others, but the 2 most important formats are your standard format and your expanded format. And the difference is basically kind of the age of the cards. Pokemon releases 4 sets every year. And then every year they try to take 4 sets and put them in what's called an expanded format. But to start off, with a standard format is, say, for example, right now, we're going to be going into what's called a rotation. And the rotation usually happens around August, September time frame. And that's when they rotate out some of the sets that are standard and move them into what's called the expanded format. And the reason they do that is to kind of make the game approachable for new players. And if you leave too many sets in the standard format, you start seeing a lot of imbalances in gameplay. You'll have players who have been playing for a long time, and they'll have all these cards built up, cards that are specifically out of print, hard to get, and they will be, if they keep those around in standard for too long, it makes the game, it just breaks the game. There are some instances where, you could end up having a 0 card hand, and that's just no fun. So what Pokemon does is, once a year they'll rotate out 4 sets as they're adding in 4 sets every year. So to try to help keep everybody competitive. The rotation that's coming up this September, I believe, is going to be the only sets that will be legal in standard format after that time period will be Team Up through Rebel Clash. Anything before that, which, we'll be losing sets like Lost Thunder, Celestial Storm, Dragon Majesty, Forbidden Light. Those sets will go into what's called the expanded. And the expanded is a very wild, wild west format. I myself don't touch it because we haven't been playing that long, we don't have the cards to be competitive. You've got cards in there that can just absolutely set up a deck, in one turn. And, and if you don't have those cards, you're just, you might as well just ding, ding, game over. And so I myself, I try to stay in the standard format, but the expanded can be a lot of fun. You'll see guys who've been playing for years. They'll play an expanded, and they will have just some of the most craziest decks you'll ever see. And we're talking, being able to pull, a knockout on cards turn one if you go second, and do it in such a way where you may actually end up, instead of taking 1, 2, 3 prize cards, maybe even 4 or 5, depending on how, the cards they use. I mean, that's, the expanded format is that wild. So if you're starting out, I totally recommend staying standard. And, as you become more seasoned, as you get cards, via trades or, things like eBay and one of the sites that I'll be talking about here in a little bit, you might be able to break into expanded and really enjoy yourself. So that's all I'm really going to talk about with the formats. Just standard format is what the Pokemon uses in their World Championship. They do have a few tournaments out there throughout the year, a few regionals that are in the expanded format, but the majority of the stuff is standard in the competition. So next thing we want to get into is let's talk about what you're going to expect at the tournament. It's tournament day. You show up. What are the things that you're going to need to take with you? Last night we talked about getting your Pokemon ID. If you don't have one, you can show up a little early for the tournament, and they will get you set up with one. It's just a number that they use to help give out the championship points. Based on your age, if you earn a certain amount of championship points a year, you'll be eligible for the World Championship Tournament. This year it was going to be held in London, but thanks to COVID-19, the championship series this year has been canceled up through Worlds. But I know, like for instance, my son, Matthew, he at this point, he had over 250 points already this season, and he had actually gotten a late start, but he had done very well in the tournaments he went to, and we were going to try to grind out a few more tournaments and get points. And we actually had projected that he would probably get an invite. Were we going to get to go to London? I highly doubt it. The wife priced it as like $6,000 to get to London, but it's going to be in London next year, and if we can maybe swing it, we'll try next year. But too bad we weren't playing 2 years ago competitively, because the World Championships was in Nashville, Tennessee, 5 hours down the road from my house, and it would have been a great trip. Or even last year's Worlds was in Washington, D.C. So but hey, you live, you learn, and going forward we'll be better prepared for that. But let's move back to, so it's tournament day. You're getting ready to leave the house. What do you need? Of course, you need your 60-card deck. But a couple things that would be very helpful, especially when you're going to tournaments. Your cards must be sleeved. They have to be sleeved in a protective sleeve, like this guy right here. Let's see there. There we go. That's those sleeves, actually, those pretty cool looking sleeves. They come in like your Elite Trainer boxes. Those boxes that I talked about last night that are about $40. They come with your dice and your some extra energy and about 8 packs, but they also come with sleeves. You must have your cards sleeved, and mainly for 2 reasons. One, just what do they protect your cards. Your cards are going to get a lot of wear and tear over a tournament, and you're going to probably take the same deck with you to several tournaments. So over time, your cards are going to get worn out. But secondly, it's also to help with competitiveness. It keeps, if you have clean sleeves, you're not going to be able to mark the mark your cards and cheat. But if you're watching this video, you're not going to cheat, are you? No, didn't think so. Some tournaments will require a deck list. There are websites out there. I think one is rk9.org. You can build your deck list, or show up about, like I said, most tournaments have a 1 hour before tournament where you sign in, and then you have a piece of paper there where you fill out your deck list. The deck list, you turn those in. The tournament organizers use that to determine that your deck is standard legal format, and they will also, check your deck against your list. So if you show up with something different than what you got on a piece of paper, they're going to call you out on it and have you fix it. Plus, and like I said, it just protects the other players so that they're not going to get cheated and things like that. Some other things too, like sometimes some matches, they average about 25, 30 minutes a match. Some matches will take the entire time. Other matches can go quite quickly. I mean, there are situations where, let's just face it, you get a bad draw. You or your opponent, they just get the one basic Pokemon up front, and then you get the, and if you're on the side of the winning side, you get that draw from heaven, where every card, you've got your fight, the Pokemon you want out there that's your attacker, you got your supporting Pokemon, you got the energy, and you got everything and that you want. And then turn one, if you're going second, you can attack, boom, knock out the guy, and then you've got 25 minutes sitting there twiddling your thumb. You can walk around, see the other battles. But for younger kids, a lot of times, bring something there for entertainment. My kids will bring their Switch with them, or they love to read. They'll bring a book. So, bring something to help pass the time. Or if you're very social, you go and talk with other players. And I have seen other players also, they just pick up and play another match with the same person. They've recorded their official victory or loss, and then they'll turn around and they'll just start up another match with the player that they just played with, and in truth would have it, the losing player could come back and end up beating the winning player. There is as much luck to Pokemon as there is skill. And you try to have skill to trump the luck, but sometimes it just happens. Bad luck happens. So have something to keep yourself occupied. Maybe, if the location that you're at allows it, maybe bring a few snacks, because some tournaments do last, up to 3-4 hours for your small local tournaments, which your small local tournaments are called league challenges. They usually, will have anywhere from 10, 15, 20 players. And it's usually your locals, the ones that you see every week if you go to league night, because most leagues will have a weekly league night, and you can go and socialize, make friends, trade, things like that. And those are the same people you'll usually see in league challenges. Then about every couple of months, your league will have what's called a league cup. And that's actually a bigger tournament. And you're going to probably have people who are not, you'll have your locals, but you'll also have folks that are not your normal, group show up to play, because league cups, they've got some more points involved. League cup has the winner gets around 50 points. League challenges, the winner gets, I think, 15 points for a league challenge victory. Knowing that, your cups will help really rack up the points. And then what comes next are regional tournaments, and these guys are the biggies. These league tournaments, or the regional tournaments, these are the big guys. There's actually money involved in winning these tournaments, and a whole lot of points. If you can win a regional tournament, you get 200 points. 200 points. That is a really good stepping stone to getting an invitation to Worlds. For Matthew, he needed 350 points to get a Worlds invite. And at the point where the championship series was canceled for the season, says here he had 212 points. So I was mistaken. I thought, no, I think there's still some points that have not been registered yet, because they cut everything off just so abruptly. I think he's actually got 262. So, one regional, and you are really, you're set. You're on your way. I think for the Masters division, you've got to have 500 points to get an invite. It's quite a bit more than you do in the juniors. Seniors, I think it's around 400. I think. But all that information is going to be tallied up for you on the Pokemon website, so you'll know where you stand at, and it'll also give you a standing amongst other players. So that's what you expect on tournament day. But now, some of the more helpful things that you're going to need for being in competitive Pokemon, and that would be, there's a ton of resources out there to help. Couple of the sites that I use, one guy it's called Tricky Gym. He's got a YouTube channel. I think he does some Twitch streaming. His name's Andrew Mahone, and he is a phenomenal player. I've never met the guy, but I have watched his videos. I have learned a lot from his videos, and I do want to give him a shout out. He doesn't know me from Adam, but I do want to say that this guy, he is one of the top tier players. He's very good. So check out his videos. Let's see. Let's see here. I'm going to bring up the sites here so we can look at them. That's the... Let's see. There we go. All right. So, this is the Pokemon website, but here's the Tricky Gym's YouTube page. And it's got a whole lot of things. He's got different things. He's got, matches between him and other players. He'll do some of the online matches. He'll go and he'll actually review the sets, really great player. Another favorite of mine is Pt.2 Radio. The guy's name's Ross. He's from over in England, and I could just sit and listen to his videos all day long because they are just very informative and just fun to listen to. They're about 10, 15-minute long videos, and they're just really just Pokemon news. He'll turn 3 or 4 of these out a day, and they are just very informative. I've learned a lot. I value his opinion on cards. It just seems like a very all-around nice dude. So I want to give out another shout out there to Pt.2 Radio and Ross. He goes by Wassy. As he says on his site, very lovely guy. He's, because he's British, and, but I really enjoy his content. Very good content. Another guy I follow is Tablemon. He's got some very good videos, very informative. I think one of the best decks that my son ever played was built off of one of his deck recommendations, and we've just done some minor tweaks to his deck all throughout the season, based off of his deck recommendation. And Matthew has absolutely just burnt the local circuit up. Another resource that I like to use is probably the hands down best resource for Pokemon players out there, and it's Limitless Tcg. This guy, he is a former world champion, Robin Schultz. He and his brother and a few other folks over, I think they're from over in Germany, I think. But they have put this site together, and it is hands down the best site I have used, and it's totally free. If you look at, he will sit here and he will show you the results from different tournaments, and they will show you the deck lists of the players that participated. And even what's more is they have linked this to the next site I'm going to show you called TCG Player, and they will put the price of how much it costs to get the number of cards, like these 3 Jirachi. Yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. That's $64 for those 3 cards. Remember, as I said last night, Pokemon competitively is not cheap. And the whole deck costs $219. If you had not a single one of these cards that you'd opened up from packs, all of the cards here, if you bought them off of the TCG Player, which is the next site we're going to go to, it would cost you $219 if you bought these as singles. But if you think about it, buying it as singles, you're getting the cards you need versus getting the cards you hope for by opening packs. $219 is cheap when you sit there and think of probably having to buy maybe $2,000 worth of packs in hopes of getting all these cards that are needed for this deck. A lot of them are very common. Professor's Research, is fairly common. Quick Ball, is very common. Switch. These cards, they're inexpensive. They're a dime a dozen, essentially. But these cards like Jirachi, Zacian, Arceus, and Dialga, and Palkia GX, which we all dubbed ADP for short, or this Dedenne GX, these cards, that is where the bulk of your cards cost run into, because they are just great cards. Granted, you can use them in other decks. So, as you build more decks and move cards around, the less cards you're going to have to buy. The next site that I'm going to take you to is, like I said, this site links to, and it's TCG Player. TCG Player is, if you are a competitive card player, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, this is the site where you can go and find those singles. Remember, let's see, like we were looking for, let's look for Professor's Research. Let's see. Professor's Research. And let's try that again. No. Yeah, here we go. Professor's Research. So right now, that card, you can buy that card for about $1 a piece. Like I said, they're fairly common, and these are all the TCG Player is basically a reseller for these other either individuals or small card shops. I've had great experience with them. I've only had a couple instances where I've had to contact TCG Player and say, "Hey, I've not gotten my stuff," and they will reimburse you with store credit, and then you can go and get the card you want from another seller on there, but as I said, this is a great site, great resource, and last but not least, certainly is the Pokemon website. This is the My Play Pokemon screen. This is actually Matthew's screen, not mine. I can promise you I don't have 212 points. But that gives his World Championships ranking, and so he was doing quite well. So let's get back to the. So guys, that's about it. I hope to show you all an actual match and kind of show you how the game progresses in the third video. Also want to give another shout out for another YouTube streamer called Azul GG. Young guy, very good, good player. There's also, there's Twitter, Facebook, other resources out there. There's a guy named on Twitter called Trainer Chip. He actually goes and does on some of the really big tournaments. He will go out and he actually does the commentary on like Twitch TV for these matches, and it's and he seems to be a very cool guy. So, guys, I want you to take care of yourself, be safe out there, and I hope this helps. Enjoy yourselves. Most of all, have fun. Have a good night.